Let's move on to the next section, which is cell styles. Cell styles give us the options of defining certain styles on a predefined criteria for different purposes. Let's say we have to define a certain type of formatting for all these cells that serve as inputs for our Excel sheet, Excel working, or for outputs, and we need to have a different format for both types of cells. We can achieve it through cell styles. Let's start with developing the first type of cell style, which is for input cells. As you can see, these cells from H18 to H20 are the desired cell outputs or the formatting outputs we want for all of our input cells. Let's copy these input cells in column J as it is and try to format them as per the specification in these cells. Just to quickly go through all the specifications, we need the background fill to be tan, so the font color should be dark blue, the font should be Arial 10, alignment should be right for number and person formats, center for date, border should be dotted lines, and for numeric input, no decimals for percent input, 1 decimal place, date in DD, MMM and YY format. Let's start. We first go to the Home tab. Under Cell Styles, we go on New Cell Style. Here, we name the cell style as Input Cells. Now, style includes number, alignment, font, border, fill, protection. We go on Format. The first of our tasks is to define the background fill. So we go on the Fill tab, and the combination is we select More Colors, Custom, and type in the RGB combination as specified, which is 238, 236 and 225. We press OK. We're done with the background fill. Now we move on to the font color. The font color, again, More Colors, Custom. Here we'll type in the specification in the same way, which is 31, 73 and 125. Okay. Now we move on to the next item, which is defining font as Arial, which is Arial, and size as 10. Correct? Now we go on to alignment. Alignment, we say right and select OK for now. Go on number, border before number. We want a dotted border like this, or probably a more distinct border with dots. The second option, outline. Done with the border. Now we go on to the number format. So for numbers, we can simply select no decimals, which means hash, comma, hash, hash, and OK. Now, this particular style we should only apply to numbers. Let's put OK. Cell styles, we go to input cells, number. Now we move on to the next item, which is percentages. Our starting point can be the previous style. Right click, duplicate, and let's define this as percent. Okay, here we simply need to change one small item, which was percentage. So 0.0% gives us the percentages with one decimal, and we press OK. Okay. Apply the cell style, which is input %, and we're done. Let's just edit the border to match with the output styles for both the type of cell formats, this and OK. Let's apply this style, input cells number. Similarly for the second style also, let's just modify the border element of that style. Go to dotted outline and OK, OK, and apply it. The last is for the date. Let's duplicate one of our previous cell styles, duplicate, and name it as date. Here there are a couple of changes we need to do. One is to change the alignment, and the other is to change the date format. First, on alignment, we select center, and for the format, what we want is, let's just move it, DDMMYY. Correct? So we go here and type DDMMM and YY. OK. OK. Let's apply this cell style. Input cells date, and here we are. So we've successfully defined three kinds of different cell styles, each for a number, a decimal, and a date. Let's define another the next type of cell style, which is a hyperlink. We will follow the same approach as we've done for defining cell styles for numbers, percent, and date. Let's first replicate one of our previous styles. Duplicate, name it as hyperlink. Okay. Let's go to format. In the number format, let's put as general. As the fill, we no color. Font color we can have as per the specification. Let's just change it to match with the output, which is 79, 129, and 189. Moving on to font, the font is similar, only that it has to be bold and underlined. Alignment, it's supposed to be left, and the border, none. OK and OK. Let's just rename it to hyperlinks and try our cell style in column J by going to cell styles, searching for hyperlinks, and we have the same cell style, only that if you look closely, we should remove the bold formatting from our cell style by going to modify, format, font, which is fine. I think let's just see why there is a difference between the two types of formats. And yes, they are same. So we've successfully defined the cell format for hyperlinks as well. Moving to the last kind of cell style, which shall be applicable for headers, we'll follow the same approach. We'll select one of our previous cell styles, click on duplicate, rename it as header, go to format, and run through each of the tabs starting from fill. The RGB combination should be custom 192, 80, 77. The next item is font color, which is 242, 242 and 242. Done. Then font should be Arial 12. Bold correct, alignment is left already, border to be top and bottom regular line. So let's select a regular line, a top border and a bottom border. Select OK. OK. Now let's copy this cell here and apply the cell style we've just created. Here we are. Only that we need to modify it to remove the underlining. We go to modify, format, font, and remove the underlining. OK, OK, and apply the cell style again. So we have the same formatting again here. Only that if you notice closely, the top and bottom border here are a thinner line, whereas we've selected a more thick line which we can always change. So this was all about cell styles. Now let's move on to conditional formatting. Conditional formatting is a tool in Excel that allows to highlight or format cells based on their value or certain predefined criteria to visualize large amount of data in a more user-friendly way, which makes way for easy analysis and understanding. Let's start with conditional formatting. Very basic example. We are presented with three numbers, 1 lakh, -1 lakh and a 0 figure. We want to highlight the negative figure with a red fill background. How can we do that? Let's copy these cells in column J and apply conditional formatting. Conditional formatting can be found in the Home tab in the Styles section. We go to conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, less than, format cells that are less than 0, light red fill with dark red text, OK. And here we are. This is the simplest kind of formatting we can apply. Let's move on to the next kind of formatting. Here we want to highlight the top 20% of the numbers with green fill color. Let's replicate this here. Select all these numbers, conditional formatting. We want to highlight the top 20%. So we select top 10%, change it to 20, green fill with dark green text, OK, and we've achieved the same cell formatting as in the output above. Let's move on to the next kind of data format, conditional formatting for data bars. We copy this data in column J. What we want to show here is to depict the positive numbers as a green cell and the negative numbers as an orange cell. The zeros will be blank. We select the three numbers, conditional formatting, data bars, let's say solid fill, go to manage, edit rule, show bar only. Let's change the color here to green, and for the negative value axis let's make it orange. OK, OK, apply, OK, and here we have a data bar as conditional formatting to numbers. Moving on to the next kind of data, here we want to apply a graded fill in the form of increasing from early dates to a later date with a graded conditional formatting. Let's see how we can achieve that. We have all the dates here. We go to conditional formatting. We select color scales, more rules. 2-color scale we are fine with. Let's select our colors from light pink to dark maroon and OK. We can change the formatting to match what we have here. Let's select this color, press OK, apply, OK. So we can see that we can always change the tone of the color, but conceptually we've achieved a graded color scale through conditional formatting. Moving on to the next kind of conditional formatting is an icon set, wherein for the first few dates we will apply an icon set with a particular color. Then for the middle section we'll apply for a different color, and for the last few dates we'll apply a different icon color set. Let's see how we can achieve that. First we copy the data as it is below, then we select the entire data, conditional formatting, icon sets. Let's select this icon set, more rules, icon style can be flags, and OK. Just have to edit it so that it does not show icon only. OK, and here we are. We've successfully applied icon sets also to a series of dates based on increasing order. Now let's move on to the last kind of conditional formatting, which is based on a formula. Here we want to format all the cells containing expenditure to be incurred as gray based on whether any expenditure will be incurred in that particular year or not. Row 71 shows us the years in which expenditure will be incurred. All those cells with a 0 denote expenditure not to be incurred in a particular year. Let's see if we can replicate the conditional formatting in the cells above. We select all the cells. We go to conditional formatting, new rule. Select the option use a formula to determine. Here we say is equal to. Now we select the cells above, which is this cell, should be equal to 0. Only it is important to note that for every cell, the reference should be the cell right in the column right above. So we have to remove the fixed referencing from the columns. So we remove the $ from here, then we go to Format, we select the gray fill color, OK, and OK. Now you can see that the cells have been conditionally formatted for every year in which there will be no expenditure incurred as gray. This was all about conditional formatting. Now let's move on to the Excel functions of sorting data, filtering data, and a few other items. You might recall from earlier today that we worked on a small example with students and their marks. Let's resume with that small case study and see how we can use sorting and filtering to our advantage. To apply a filter, we should select the entire data first. Then, on the Home tab in the Editing section, we click on Sort and Filter and click on Filter. We can see drop-down arrows for each of the columns in the table. This effectively means that a filter has been applied to our data. The shortcut to apply a filter is Ctrl plus Shift plus L. Now let's start sorting the data. Let's say we want to sort the data basis total marks. We go on Total, click on the drop-down arrow, select smallest to largest, and you will see that the data has automatically been sorted from increasing order from lowest to the highest value based on total marks. We can apply similar features, similar filtering options for any of the columns. For names, we can apply from A to Z. For marks, we can again apply from smallest to largest or largest to smallest, and so on. Let's remove this filter. Let's remove this sorting criteria by just clicking, and we are back to clear filters. And we'll press Ctrl Z twice so that our data is restored to the earlier form. This was about sorting. Now let's say we want to filter out data basis a certain criteria. We only want to see marks which are above 60 in maths. So we go to number filters, we click on the drop down arrow in maths, go on number filters, greater than, and let's put in 60. OK. The data has been filtered to show names of students who have scored more than 60 in maths. We can apply similar filters. Let's clear this filter out. We can apply similar filters basis any number filters which can range from more than, less than, greater than, or a range, top 10, above average, based on the requirement and the ask. We can also filter basis color, although we don't have a color coding, or we haven't applied any filters or applied any background fills to any of these cells. But in case we do, let's say we apply a cell fill to John and we filter our data by the color, we'll be only seeing John. Let's clear this filter out. This was all about sorting and filtering data. Let's remove the fill. If we need to change our data, let's say we wanted to replace certain text, but it was getting repeated a lot many times in our data set. Would we be required to go through each cell and edit it manually? Or is there a way that we can do it all at once? Using find and replace, we can change the values of our data all at once. Let's say we have to replace John with Jean. One way of doing it is to manually change John to Jean. What if I want to change multiple Johns which are spread across my Excel sheet? Should I go to each cell and manually change them, or is there another way of doing it? Let's try. Go to the Home tab. Under Find and Select the option to replace. We want to replace John with Jean. Let's say replace all. You can see that we have replaced John with Jean in one go. What if we wanted to replace John and Jean both with something else? Let's say we wanted to replace it with Juan. The way to go about it is find and select, replace. Now we know that the first and last letter of both John and Jean is the same. We only need to replace the center text, which is after J and before N. We can do that through a simple operator, which is the asterisk. Shift plus 8 will insert this asterisk, which means that any characters between J and N will be replaced with the typed text in the replace with section. Let's give it a try. Let's replace it with Juan. When I select replace all, you can see that all of my text has been replaced by Juan. Now what if I wanted to replace all Juans but only with June? There is a way to do it. Let's say I want to replace, let's go back to our earlier example of John and Jean, and I want to replace the J and H in John and J and A in Jean by V. Is there a way I can do it? Yes, there is. Control H, I say question mark, which stands for the first letter, then O, another question mark, which stands for H in John and A in Jean, N, and I replace it with V. Let's mark that. Let's go back to our earlier example of John and Jean, and let's say I just want to replace the first letter after J. Is there a way I can do it? Yes. I press Ctrl H. I select J question mark for O H N, and I say J U H N. Only the single O after J will be replaced. So essentially, to recapitulate, in case we want to replace all the characters within a certain text before and after, we use the operator asterisk. In case we want to replace a certain set of characters between two end characters, we use question marks. The number of question marks represent the number of characters in that particular text string. Now let's learn how we can protect an Excel file. Microsoft Excel allows you to set three kinds of password protection, namely file level, workbook level, and worksheet level. At the file level, you can set a password for users to access a particular workbook. A workbook will not open until the password set is entered. If a password is set at the workbook level, that password prevents the user from changing the structure of the workbook, such as adding a sheet, deleting a sheet, or moving sheets and changing the order of worksheets within a particular workbook. The third kind of password protection is worksheet level, where a password is specific to a particular worksheet and you can specify what all characteristics or attributes of a particular worksheet can be changed or not. Let's see how we can password protect our workbooks for all the three types of password protection. File level password protection. We go to File, Protect Workbook, and encrypt with a password. Now let's say I put a password as password, P-A-S-S-W-O-R-D. Press OK. I re-enter the password, press OK, and close the workbook. I say yes. Now if I open the workbook, Excel prompts me for a password. When I input the password set by me is only when I will be able to open that particular workbook. This was file level password. Moving on to the second category of password, which is workbook level. Workbook level password can be accessed either from File menu in the Protect Workbook option or directly from the Review tab under the Protect Workbook option. Let's click on Protect Workbook. As you can see, it offers a checkbox as to whether the password shall protect the structure and the number of windows open or closed in a particular Excel workbook. Let's say we are to protect the structure. We'll set the password as whatever we want to, and the password will be set. In a Protect Workbook password, any user will be able to open the file, but will not be able to change, edit, or modify the structure of the workbook, which is moving a sheet, deleting a sheet, or inserting a sheet. Now let's move on to the last type of password protection, which is password protection at sheet level. Similarly, as we learned about protecting a workbook, the command to password protect a worksheet is available in the Review tab. Let's click on Unprotect. It must have been password protected earlier. I've removed the password. Now let's protect the sheet once more. Now you can see a plethora of options with regard to what all we want to restrict using a password in a particular sheet. We can prevent the user from selecting locked cells, formatting columns, and so on. Please keep in mind that password protection of a sheet will only apply to the current sheet that we are in. So sheet 3 in this case will be password protected, and we will be able to edit all other sheets in the workbook. Let's say I protect the sheet with the password. I re-enter the password. Now, if you see, I'm trying to enter and change a cell input, but Excel does not allow me to. However, if I go to sheet 2 and add something, I am successfully able to edit that particular sheet. These were the 3 types of password protection Excel has to offer.